Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back to the show. We are so excited to have Leslie Self here, the founder of Self Paranormal Investigations. They're conducting investigations into a broad spectrum of paranormal activity and phenomena, and excited to get to meet him and the rest of the team today to talk more about this. So welcome to the show. How are you today?
Doing good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. It's glad to see you brought the whole crew here with you. For those that are just live on the podcast, and we're also on a live Zoom cast. So, Leslie, first and foremost, please introduce yourself to our listeners.
Hi, I'm Leslie Self, the founder of Self Paranormal Investigations, and it's been a definite passion for 16 years. I've always had an interest into the paranormal since as far back as I can remember. I've had paranormal occurrences.
I want to hear more about that for sure. First and foremost, how do we contact you all? What is the website or phone number, email address, or social media pages we can find you?
Yeah, our phone number is 660-332-7718, and our webpage is selfparanormalinvestigations.com.
And where are you based out of?
We are based out of Craig, Colorado, and we have a branch in La Plata, Missouri as well.
Beautiful. Well, let's, if you don't mind, give us a little bit of the background because I would love to hear about, you as a child and how you got into this. And I want to hear your experiences as well, Les.
All right, yeah. Kind of growing up, I always had a lot of paranormal experiences. I guess it's kind of a sixth sense. My grandma self and my dad had what they called high dreams. And it's where they would be dreaming and looking down on situations that would happen. And usually the next morning they would get up and call each other and say, hey, I have a feeling this is going to happen. I had my high dream. And then I noticed that I did that as a child, and it just kind of snowballed into um, more and more paranormal things. And my dad was always very supportive of it. He got it. But my mom was like, you have an overactive imagination. And it wasn't until mom was in her 70s before she had her first paranormal experience and woke up to it. And then she would come to me and she's like, you're so right. And then she would have like the clear knowing. She would just know that something was going to happen, and she would like say, I have goosebumps, and I think so and so might have just died. And then pretty soon the phone would ring and we would be informed. So it's kind of interesting. They say everybody has the capability of doing it. It's just how in tune you are with that side of your body.
And do you mind me asking what type of paranormal experiences did you have as a child to make you start being aware that, hey, I'm noticing or feeling something different than others?
A couple of things. When I was a little kid, the fireplace that you can see behind me here, I guess there, I would be watching Saturday morning cartoons, and someone would just kind of pop over, and like I would see a head, not a body or anything, but just a head, and it was like she was curiously looking at me. And the first dozen times it scared the bejesus out of me, and I would tell mom and dad, and they usually divided in their response. My big thing that got me into the paranormal, I'd had a hip replacement and I went to my grandmother's house out in Missouri. She'd already passed, but we'd kept it. And I started having paranormal experiences. I'd hear people talking. My dog, I had a miniature schnauzer I took with me, Abby, and she would bark, and she didn't like little kids. And there was this little kid, and he would say, you'd hear knocking, and it's let me out. Come on, guys, I'm serious, let me out. And my dog would get up on my chest as I'm lying in the bed, pin her ears back, and bark. And I'm like, okay, I'm not hallucinating. The dog hears this. And so I decided to have cable TV hooked up to kind of occupy my mind. I'm like, maybe it's just, whatever. And I had a few more things. I thought I seen someone walking in the house in the reflection of the TV after I turned it off in the living room. I was laying on the couch and I was so afraid. I got up, crutched through the whole entire house with my gun, thinking I have an intruder. The doors were locked from the inside, little hooks were on, and there was no one in the house. And so when cable TV got hooked up, it was weird. The TV was automatically went to the Sci-Fi Channel where Ghost Hunters was playing with Jason and Grant. And this lady was extremely upset with the happenings in her house, and she started to cry. And Grant said, "Wait, stop." forget everything Hollywood has taught you. It could be a loved one that is visiting you. It could be a previous homeowner just checking in to see how you're taking care of the place. And the way he calmed her down, I thought, oh my gosh, I want to do what they do. So I ended up going to their website and finding out you could become a TAPS family member, the Atlantic Paranormal Society. And they gave a whole strict guideline of how to investigate and things to do. So even though I just had the hip replacement and confined to the house a little bit, I got a hold of, well, the people you see here. And we started Self Paranormal Investigations. We got to go to the Stanley Hotel and investigate with Jason and Grant 4 times. Mm-hmm. And so that was really awesome. They had people from the Catholic Church, they had demonologists. So we got to learn, when you have something bad, what to do and when to excuse yourself, because that's something else that's very important. About only 2% of hauntings are actually demonic or bad. The rest of them can either be explained away or it's literally friends, family, or someone that used to live in the area just popping in to say hi. So,
Oh my goodness. This is fascinating. And wow. And you also mentioned now your family descended from a long line of gypsies, right? So is this,
um,
this is so they all believed in the powers and ghosts in a sense. So,
and actually, that's Chris. He's sitting over here to my left. His wife
ah,
is,
ah. Now, well,
yeah,
let's,
you can kind of refer to that better.
oh my God. Well, let's introduce everyone. Do you mind? Go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead. I don't know who
so
wants to start first.
I'll start with
Or
Chris.
am I just introducing myself and telling my story, or just?
Well, let's
Hi,
start
sure.
with
I've been part of the group for about 11 years now. Met Les at Kmart, and yeah, I've got experiences in my past too that started my journey.
Wow. Would you mind sharing one or two with us?
Yeah. So when I was younger, I was 7 or 8. I had bouts of sleep paralysis. It was pretty intense. Most of the time, it was dark, black, couldn't see nothing. But the one time that I did get my eyes open, I could move my neck, and I looked up, and there was apparition or somebody standing in the doorway of my bathroom, leaning against the door, smiling at me, and it freaked me out. But I didn't think nothing of it. I thought maybe it was just part of my dream. But when I woke up and got out of the sleep paralysis, everything in the room was still the same. The light in the bathroom was on, but nobody's standing there. And then years later, when my brain developed and I could understand what had happened, and I could still clearly remember the face, um, I realized that it was probably a spirit looking in on me. And then I want to say like 10 years later, 17-ish, I was scrolling YouTube and came across a video called the Skull Experiment. And they were doing all kinds of investigations. Like they had a spirit radio that the voices would talk through and answer their questions like clear as day. They would do reels of tape in the dark, and it would appear with images that weren't on the tape, that were brand new, like the old camera tape that they had. All kinds of stuff, and that really fascinated me. And when I met Les at Kmart, we got to talking when we were putting up furniture and stuff. We talked for 3 4 hours on just ghosts and stuff, and he told me he was part of the paranormal group, and that's the day I joined. And my first investigation, the camera moved, and there was no way it could have moved because it was on the mantle of a fireplace, nothing behind it.
Yeah, we were investigating a house where there'd been two people in the family die. One of them, it was a murder. He murdered his nephew, and it actually ended up getting ruled as a suicide, but the mother house kind of thought different. And then a year to the day after that murder had committed, he died of a heart attack right in front of the fireplace where the camera was moved on the mantle. So it added a lot of validity, but they were having problems with their electronics coming up missing. And it was a 13-year-old boy that had passed in the house. And so when the family got a hold of us to do the investigation, we went in, we contacted him. This video is on our YouTube page, House Investigation. It's 3 parts,
Yeah.
Colorado House Investigation.
Okay.
You can watch it there, but there's some really awesome things that happened in that.
And I probably had, I have a spirit following me. It has for years, and it just like kind of replicates voices. I call it a mimic. but I don't feel like it's dangerous or anything. And like I'll be sitting in a room by myself or a house by myself, and I'll hear a voice of somebody that I know, and it would just say my name or hello, and I'm just like, oh, hi.
Well, do we know why? Have you been able to contact it, the whole team, to find out what's going on, or is it,
It has started talking to relatives, but it doesn't answer back. It just says hello, just like one time voice, and like I'll sometimes I'm like,
wow.
Mom, did you say something?
This is
And
fascinating. All right, Les and Chris, who else on the team wants to say hello and introduce themselves? I would love to get your backstories, and then I want to talk about the work you're doing with all these investigations. By the way, if you are just tuning in here on the podcast today, you were joined here. Go to Self Paranormal Investigations. That's selfparanormalinvestigations.com, and we're going to talk more here with our staff. Go ahead. Who's this?
All right, my name's Dean, and my journey began on my seventh birthday. My mother had taken me and my older brother to a river down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I didn't know how to swim, so I stayed kind of close to the shore. We met up with another family there, and they had a little boy about my age, so neither one of us knew how to swim. We just kind of walked along the edge, and the river was kind of picking up a little bit as it went and everything. And I somehow lost my footing and got swept away and I drowned. And I later woke up in the morgue. And that's where my journey began there as I started seeing spirit. I could actually, in my mind's eye, I could see just like I'm looking today out of my eyes. And I can still do it today. They still come.
Wow, this is just fascinating. I have to just ask another question about this. So you woke up in the morgue. So everyone thought you were dead at this point,
I
obviously.
was, I was pronounced dead, yes.
And to dismay, what happened how did you wake up? Who was there? Who heard you? What did your family think? I mean, how did this even happen? What happened when you woke up? You're in the morgue. Walk me
I'm
through
in,
it.
I'm in a body bag. Uh, they hadn't got to me to start preparing my body. And I started moving and pretty soon found my voice and started screaming. And there was two people there in the morgue and morticians or whatever they are, I don't know, in the morgue.
Yeah.
And they unzipped me and they got oxygen on me and got me actually talking, and they couldn't believe that I was alive. I mean, but yeah, I mean, yeah, the coroner pronounced me
And
dead.
what did your family say? They were in the other room, probably in the hospital, still grieving, right?
Yes, they were. It was just, I don't know what the word or how to describe. I mean, it was like happy, mad, sad, glad, just all of it all together. It was just shocking,
Wow.
and of course I'm 7 years old. I didn't know, what had happened. The only thing I remember whenever I was underwater is I was enveloped in a blue light.
Wow. So you don't
But
remember pain, fear, nothing. You were just saved by
yeah, I was safe.
something.
It was calm. It was the calmness.
And
Yes.
so you walk around to this day and you could see spirits amongst you, whether you're at the Kmart or wherever, or how does it work? How do you
Yeah.
still see them?
Yes, I do. I see them here in this house. I see them anywhere I go. I could be, talking to somebody on the street,
Wow.
and I can see
Do
the
you see
spirit.
any around me? See through
Um,
through the screen?
I do see a shadow, but I'm not for sure if how it's going with the on the computer part.
Got it, got it. No, that's amazing.
There is a shadow off on your right side.
Okay.
I'm not for sure. I'm not for sure if it's. I'm gonna say probably it's a male and mid 30s.
Do they talk to you too, or you just see them?
Now that's my thing is I am trying to enhance or hone
Envelop
in
that.
on my audio,
Clear audience.
Claire,
clear.
audience. Yes, Claire, audience. Wow.
Right. And I've been working on that and it's progressing a little bit, but not as fast as I would like. But I've only been with the team for about 6 years now. And with all the devices that we have, I'm able to start communicating through them, which is helping me hone
Great.
in on my
He
clairaudient.
has oh, I was going to say he has, whenever he's seen them before, we have a device called the Frank's box, and he can say he sees them, and then we can ask questions, and we can all get messages through there. But he's like, I see a woman, she's in her 30s or whatever, and then we'll get a female voice across the Frank's box
Wow.
that responds to his questions. So that's kind of
Amazing. All right. And now last but not least, I don't want to leave you out. Who's this?
Hi, I'm Dixie.
Hi, Dixie. Nice to meet you. Please share your story with us.
Well, I've been part of Self Paranormal, what, 15 years or
16.
16
Yep.
years? And I've known Les. I knew his brothers, but I've known him working at Come and Go or whatever. I used to go in there a lot, and we just started talking about ghost hunting and stuff. But I think I was going to tell a story about when I was young and my first experience. I had a couple, but one experience that stands out is when I was about 4 years old in South Texas at my great grandmother's house. And I'm named after her, Dixie Lee. And I remember going in and playing in a room, and there was lots of family around, my aunts, my cousins, my mom, and everybody there. And I'm not sure why we were there at her house, but she was in a nursing home. And I saw a lady in the corner come to me, long dark hair, white gown, and very nice, and just come to me and said, Grandma, Dixie just died or passed away, I think is the word she used. And I remember going, oh, okay, and going and telling my mom, what does passed away mean? And my mom's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, this lady in here just told me that Grandma Dixie just passed away. And of course, they're freaking out. And my aunt is like questioning me. My mom says, I don't know what I'm talking about. And then they called the nursing home and she had just passed away. So, of course, they can't figure out how
Goosebumps.
or whatever. Of course, there was no other lady in the house. There was no way to get in and out this room. And I was only about 4 years old. But that's my first, of course, they make you doubt yourself and you don't know what you're talking about and everything. And of course, I pushed all that down until I met Les. And then, of course, I've had other experiences that kind of make you think about things and what's happening. And I'm sensitive to certain things, but yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thank you all for being here, for joining us. And I want everyone to reach out. So please go to the website, selfparanormalinvestigations.com. Now, are you working nationwide, worldwide, or is it in person only in Colorado, Missouri? Tell us how it works. And of course, what are some of the things people come to you for?
Yeah, we go through to all of the 49 states. We do have a little bit of a waiting list since we have to have our day jobs. So that kind of
Yes.
makes, but we will go, usually we try to do the east half, from Mississippi east after the 1st of June and go through the 1st of August. Kind of investigating out there that way because I work for the school district and Dixie does as well, so that kind of gives us area to travel. Dean is retired, so that kind of works out for him.
Mm-hmm.
And Cass and Donna and Patty and everybody, they're a little bit more mobile in the summer, being able to take vacations. So but yeah, people can go online and fill out a request for an investigation, or they can call us and then we contact them and kind of listen to what they have going on. We do try to go by urgency basis. So if somebody's having something, really frightening going on in their home, we want to help them as fast as we can. So sometimes we might have to bump someone's investigation.
Yeah.
Not that that person isn't important, but we have somebody that has a kid that's getting extremely traumatized, that takes precedent. The children definitely take precedent for us. We've been called for things that go bump in the night to things being taken. And that one investigation I was saying, after we had investigated and got that child's name that had passed away in the house, over the next week, they got back an iPod,
Mm-hmm.
a cell phone, and even a pack of cigarettes. They just all surfaced. It
Wow.
was taking things to get their attention. So, and then, if someone says they have something demonic, we have a screening for that. And if we find that it probably is demonic, we put them in touch with someone that can better help them. We can help with things, but when it gets demonic, we're not suited for that. So, but we don't give up. We help them find what they need to get relief.
Well, this is fascinating. Really, that you're helping so many. And also, what's the YouTube channel we can watch?
Self Paranormal Investigations on YouTube. We have TikTok as well for just little things. If you're on your lunchtime and or a break and you need to watch a cool paranormal video, you can check those the short videos out. YouTube and Facebook. Facebook is the same thing. Self Paranormal Investigations. It has our big investigations like the Stanley Hotel, Waverly Hills, the Myrtles Plantation,
Hmm.
some of the big places we've investigated. Home visits we only put on if the homeowner is okay with it. Of course, they sign a release, so you get to see some of our home investigations as well.
Wow. Wow. This is fascinating. I'm on the website looking and I'm looking at all your services. And what is the diedinhouse.com? What is that?
Okay, so and a lot of times when people think that their house is haunted, sometimes their imagination runs away from them, and then you have that neighbor that says, "Oh, did you know the lady that lived in the house before you? She died in the basement." And they
Mm.
get really upset, and then they call us and they're like, someone died in my house. It's got to be haunted.
Ah,
So we do everything kind of fact based. We're like, if you
yeah.
go to com, then you can simply type in the address of the
Wow.
home and it'll tell all of the people that have owned the house if they
Yeah.
died in the house or if they died after leaving the house. So
Wow.
died in house is an awesome tool for us because a lot of times we can say, okay, they didn't pass away at the house, but they're
Yeah.
not here still. But then it kind of gives us names to go by because let's say two owners back died in the house and then
Mm-hmm.
move forward and then these people move in, we can say, is this Charlie or is this Amy? And, we kind
Mm-hmm.
of get a dialogue. And a lot of times it's not anyone that's died in the house, it's object attachment. And
Does
that's
that
something.
mean like my mother passed away in my home of cancer? I was with her. Does that mean my house is haunted or spirits here? Or do some people pass and or only bad situations they stay in the house? Just curious.
My dad passed away in this home here, and they go anywhere. Matter of fact, one time we were at Dixie's, we were trying out a new tools, SDC1, and Dixie asked if when you pass away, are you trapped where you die, or can you go anywhere? And this really awesome voice, I need to get this uploaded to YouTube, but this
Sure.
really awesome voice goes to the moon and Mars. So they're not just trapped there; they can go anywhere they like.
Amazing. And have you been able to contact your deceased ones as well?
Actually, yes. I have a video on YouTube. Um, the day I joined TAPS is the day that my dad died, and Dixie had to go up by herself to train with Jason and Grant and Amy Bruni, and they were investigating. My dad come through, and then 6 years later, we're up there training again,
Wow.
and my dad comes through and he says, "Hugh, self, we're all right." And I started,
Wow.
we had to hand Dixie the camera because that was a bittersweet message,
Oh my gosh. And I want to hear more, but unfortunately, we're out of time. We're over time. So sorry, but it's so exciting to meet you all. I love what you do. I want to hear more stories. And if we're back again next time, I'd love to see some of the video. Maybe we could share the screen and see some of the seeing is believing. This is fascinating. For those of you on the podcast, get on the Zoomcast. Tell us again how we can contact you all, please.
Phone number is 660-332-7718. For the web page, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube is Self Paranormal Investigations or Self Paranormal
Got it.
Investigations.
All right. We back again next week then?
Yes, we're back into the next 2 weeks.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. Would love to see more. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, guys. Pleasure meeting you and thank you for sharing your stories. I'm such a believer in all this. My kids are 7 and 9. We just finished watching Resident Alien. Have you seen that?
Oh,
I don't know if you're watching
yeah.
that series on Netflix now, but we are fascinated. And if you're watching
Yeah.
that series on Netflix now, but we are fascinated. And by the way, my uncle, I gotta tell you that my uncle, quick, his name's Robert Nicolini. There's a new series coming out on Netflix, and he's part of it. He wasn't supposed to be; it was private. But there was that big alien abduction in New York City back in the 70s or 80s, and he was taken up in the spaceship. We'll talk about that. I'm so
Okay.
excited. I love this stuff. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.